What's up, dudes? Max here, back with some impressions. Thanks to WB, we got to visit their offices again for a preview event of Mortal Kombat 1. And as many of you probably saw over, I think this would have been yesterday by the time this video comes out, Homelander had a brief preview also from NetherRealm. There was a combat cast for Homelander that went over a few things. And yes, we also had the opportunity to play as this character. Now, admittedly so, big thanks to WB for giving us an opportunity to check him out. Homelander might have been one of the, I'd say, least interesting characters to me personally, just to check out. Not super familiar with the show, you know, and what he can do. I was sort of in a kind of a mental rut. He's just going to be, you know, asshole Superman is what I was going through in my head. Luckily enough, we got a decent amount of time with the character to come to some conclusions and how I feel about him. Weirdly enough, I have a conclusion, and the conclusion I have at the end of this thing was inherently not super great in the first 30 minutes, and then it really grew on me when we started to delve into his move list and understanding. This guy is effectively Ermac, like MK11 Ermac, and Superman from Injustice had a baby. And they are now weird flight cancel, eye laser. You can play this dude as a zoner, you can play as him a rushdown, variety of different ways. Anyway, let's start breaking down some of the individual elements. Yes, the dude's got eye lasers. He's got eye laser lows that are really far. He's got an eye laser back force sweep. He's got eye lasers in the form of like mids and jumping attack eye lasers and, you know, quite a whole bunch. Weirdly enough, I feel like they're still going to be good tools, but they're not inherently incredible. A lot of them are relatively bad on block. All things considered, I don't think you're going to be using many of them up close by any means. I don't feel like the eye lasers themselves are really where he's going to command a lot of screen space, but they're always going to be threatening. It's always going to be a big part of Homelander's game plan is what I'm sort of like pitching here. Where this character is really powerful is in flight. And when Homelander takes flight, he really gets access to a lot of screen space and maneuverability that not many other characters in the game get access to. Obviously, Omni-Man, one of the other characters in the roster that's comparable to Homelander because they are effectively similar superhero dudes. Omni-Man has some pretty crazy flight stuff with multiple air dash flight moves that allow you to like move left and right through the opponent and get big ass air combos, which was very fun to do. Homelander's, believe it or not, kind of the same. He has this one flight command move that effectively acts as sort of like a Rekka, where he begins this flight dash animation, and every attack that you can press 1, 2, 3, or 4 gives you a different thing you can do. This flight cancel is really interesting because not only does it just set up for like good hard knockdowns, it also, if you don't press it, allows him to enter flight and he's just flying forever. This dude's in the air longer than most characters will be in the game, and I do feel like a lot of his power is going to come as a result of him being like airborne, and what the hell do I do about the guy that's up there and airborne? Because many of the specials that he gets out of this flight mode are also pretty decent, and some of them are safe and some of them are relatively effective and lead to mix-up and stuff like that. The part of Homelander that I think when we finally got a grasp on this dude's gameplay, where it really opened up for me, because even when we had that, it was like, oh, okay, this guy effectively gets kind of similar to Ermac flight cancels, where you have to enter into this thing and you're going to launch them and then bring them up in the air and then do the move again in the air and bounce them back down. You only get so many like ground bounces, you only get so many like grabs, you only get so many ways to continue the combos before it eventually stops you. What's crazy about Homelander was the realization that he has a completely unique flight command, and it's up with L2. It's stance switch. Didn't inherently seem that crazy, but until you realize, oh, I can just cancel into it from anything. I don't have many limitations here. And at some points, you're even confused when you are flying because he's naturally in like a flying state, I think, by default. So you're kind of confused when you're in flight or not in flight, and you can, you know, it takes some time to get used to that. But Homelander allows him to cancel any one of his strings, much less most of his normals, into this flight command and just continue pressure. Continue a ridiculous amount of very powerful pressure. And he gets out of the flight mode really fast with the use of some tools and abilities. I think flight mode 2, when you're up in there and you do like the initial command to get all the commands that he has in the air, I think it's back forward 2, that's really good. And it's like an overhead and it's powerful and it's kind of amazing. So to me, that's where this character started to shine. And when me and Kenny were at this event playing as Homelander, there was this big realization moment where it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what are you allowing us to do? And then I started to really go back to Ermac, and was a little nervous because Ermac's a character that was also very fun in a preview event. He can just do a lot of stuff, seems really wild and crazy, but most of his cancels come as the result of a back forward motion, and you have to do so many of these goddamn back forward motions that you're speedrunning arthritis. So I wasn't super happy with that with Ermac over time, but initially his preview was very fun. The interesting part about Homelander is that his cancel's relatively easy to do. It just takes a new wiring in your head because you don't press up and L2 too often, or up and, you know, stance switch type of stuff. You don't do that too often. Man, oh man, let me tell you, once we got the grasp of that and started realizing, okay, so what air moves can we cancel out of? What can we cancel out of on the ground? How long can I keep them on the ground until we even go up for an air combo, dude? What I have to say is, at the end of these impressions and telling you guys like how I feel about this character, he's got some other things. He got like a punch counter. It's relatively unexciting. He has a lot of other moves, but the power of this character and what is the most interesting part about him is that he enters flight from the majority of his normals and strings, and he can exit that flight relatively fast and mix you up. He can also just fly around in general and move about the screen in ways that are different than the majority of the cast. He's like the true first like flight character, maybe outside of some of the stuff I think Sindel does. So he is going to be flight cancel master. If you thought this was crazy with Ermac, this character is going to be absolutely wild. And at the end of this event, you know, Homelander's not a character I was inherently excited about, but I have to give Mortal Kombat 1 credit. Every time we've played a preview character and we've gone to this show or we've gone to their offices to check these characters out, Peacelander, I was really impressed. Ermac, I was really impressed that this is a weird and wild character. And believe it or not, I was kind of impressed with Homelander by the end of it. We got an hour and a half-ish to mess around with this dude. And yes, I went to some combo trials and did some stuff. We got some footage of that. Spent the entirety of the rest of the time just messing around. I'm sorry I didn't get footage of fatalities and brutalities and intros and outros and all the stuff that would be easy clickbait. I just spent time blabbing stuff. I think between all the sessions we've had, even, you know, with characters like Peacemaker and stuff in the past, which was really fun, this session went by faster than any other, dude. So, big credit. Homelander's a lot of fun, and he might not inherently seem like he has a lot of strings. He might not inherently seem like he has a lot of specials. He might seem kind of bare bones, but as soon as you get the idea that you can start really manipulating the majority of your offense and defense with this flight stuff, it really opens up in a way that not many other characters sort of had. And the only other one is comparable to like Omni-Man, but Omni-Man kind of feels like a baby mode superhero character in comparison to what Homelander's sort of doing just on a pure fundamental mechanical level. So I'm very excited. I think this character might be one of the ones that will be very impressive in execution, similar to what you kind of see with some stuff with like Smoke and cancels and obviously Ermac and cancels. It's just going to be a different way. I wish we could have seen what the hell the new cameo was like if we saw what Pharaoh was like, but she was unfortunately not playable. Anyway, all I got to say is I'm emphatically enthusiastic about playing Homelander when he comes out. This easily could have been like another Mortal Kombat character that I just sort of go like, you know, okay, I'll just wait for the next one that I'm looking forward to because I'm still kind of in a character crisis with MK1. That sort of happened with Quan Chi, and I wasn't really vibing with Quan Chi in any way at all, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Homelander might be a lot of fun when he comes out, and I'm very curious to see what some of the absolute pro players are figuring out with them, because if there's just one combo example, I'm going to show it right after this. You know, there's a lot of sauce you can get with this guy, and this is not optimized and barely using any meter, if not any, in any way at all. And while he is an impressive character, and I'm looking forward to playing more, you gotta know me, dude. Like, the one character that is in MK1 that we've known is going to be in MK1 for a very long time is right around the horizon. It's the next DLC character. And if the devs have managed to make several incredibly fascinating new character archetypes that are way more interesting, I think, than the core roster of MK1 in this first DLC season, I'm crossing my fingers, dude. I'm legit crossing every single finger I have in my hands that Takeda's going to be badass and really fun and have swords and whips and, you know, is going to feel like an actual continuation character and not just sort of like an MKX light version of Takeda. I do kind of have faith that that might be kind of awesome based on the way these DLC characters have been. Either way, thank you guys a ton for watching. Hopefully I've had enough footage for this stuff in the background. I'll have to check out the Homelander combat cast. I only saw a little bit of it. Yeah, this will be another fun one, and I'm kind of curious to see what Ferritor is going to be like later on. As always, dudes, I appreciate any thumbs up on the video. Big thanks to WB for letting us come out and record some footage. My name is Max, and I'll see you dudes next time.